Greetings, everyone. I am glad you're doing well. I am Zankichi, ruler of this particular space within the TV. And today I would like to tell you a little story from my childhood. One that set the path that I still walk on to this day. The path of video gaming. It was 1995. Although I had no notion of how time worked, I became aware of my existence. Most of my memories of that time are blurry, but one remains clear in my mind to this day. The day I was gifted a Sega Genesis. At that time, I don't know what that was, but it was a shiny new toy for me to play with, and my family made sure that we all had fun with it. Thing is though, I had no games for it, so my mother, wanting me to have fun with my new toy, took me to the video store to rent a game. I remember her words clearly when we got there.
Escoge cualquier juego que a ti te guste.
As I skimmed over the options, I saw it. The serpentine black dragon encased in a ring of the same color, set in a dull red and bright orange background, and words as eye-catching as the dragon itself. It was Mortal Kombat for the Sega Genesis. Without a second thought, I took this game to my mother, asking if it was okay, and she said yes. We went back home, my mom taught me how to work the console, I put the game in, and began playing my very first video game ever. Needless to say, I wasn't any good at the game, nor was I getting closer to beating my second opponent, but that day, that moment, was engraved in me on how amazing video games are, how fun they can be, and how many more kinds of games are out there. And to this day, I still love and enjoy video games. And from there, history was made. Thanks to that event, I would go on to play and experience many games on many different consoles. I continued to explore the different genres of games, and I even delved into PC gaming. And still, I kept up with every single Mortal Kombat game throughout the years. Now, 30 years after the first game's initial release, and 28 years after my experience with it, Mortal Kombat 1 makes its release on the current generation consoles, bringing a sequel and a hard reset to the entire Mortal Kombat history. And I couldn't be more excited for it. And with that excitement, I'll certainly be reviewing this game from top to bottom, but like I said, this game is a sequel in essence, so there will be things that I'll mention that will reference the previous Mortal Kombat game, but these things will be explained as I go along for the sake of those who are not familiar with the story. So, grab your favorite snacks, get comfy, let's honor my gaming roots, and let's talk about Mortal Kombat 1, shall we? The story begins with creation. Liu Kang, after his many battles against the forces of evil, his evil self, his allies at one point, and the mastermind behind these heinous deeds, the Titan Kronika, becomes the new keeper of time and creator of the realms. Unburdened by the makings of the previous timeline, he creates a new one where every creature that inhabits it may find peace and a chance at redemption. In present time, a peddler by the name of Shang Tsung tries to make a living by selling his elixirs with no luck in his endeavors. However, he is visited by a mysterious figure claiming that his misfortunes comes from being conspired against since before his birth and promises him power if he follows her instructions. In previous games, Shang Tsung was a powerful sorcerer that always conspired against the realms and the Elder Gods, and always tried to attain greater power, only to be foiled by Liu Kang and Earthrealm's protectors. As for the mysterious figure, that was Kronika. Or somebody that looks like Kronika. Meanwhile, in Earthrealm, friends Kung Lao and Raiden unwind at a tea house that is owned by their teacher Madame Bo after a long day of work, until the Lin Kuei arrive, threatening her with destroying her establishment if she doesn't pay for their protection. The two friends spring into action to protect their teacher as they fight Smoke, Scorpion, and Sub-Zero. After the tussle, Liu Kang steps in to commend Kung Lao and Raiden for their skills, explains to them that the fight was a test of their skills and character, and, with Madame Bo's approval, asks them to join him to become Earthrealm's champions along with Johnny Cage, a fading martial arts movie star that is slowly losing everything he owns, and Kenshi, an ex-Yakuza looking to redeem his family and clan by looking for his family's sword Sento, a sword Johnny Cage just so happens to own. Days before the tournament to determine the fate of the realms, a test of strength among the champions took place where Raiden excelled and was chosen to represent Earthrealm. Liu Kang then gifts him with an amulet that gives him control over lightning and thunder to give him an edge in the tournament. And this is how my favorite character was reworked in this timeline. A once god of thunder and lightning and brother to Fujin, god of wind, now relegated to being a human with magical powers given to him by an artifact. Awesome. Liu Kang and Earthrealm's champions go to the plane of Outworld where the tournament will take place. Here, they are greeted by Queen Sindel and her daughters, Mileena and Kitana, and they also meet Outworld's champions. Li Mei, ex-member of the royal guard called the Umgadi, who was demoted to first constable of the capital of Sundo for being unable to protect the late king's life. Shao, general of Outworld's army, who distrusts Liu Kang and believes he plans to conquer Outworld. Reiko, Shao's second-in-command and adoptive son, and others who stayed off screen, sadly. After Raiden's victory in the tournament, yes, he defeated 7 opponents in total, Liu Kang is visited by Geras, the eternal guardian of the hourglass that helped Liu Kang create the realms, and tells him that Shang Tsung has deviated from his life of mediocrity and is up to no good. Knowing of the danger he poses, Liu Kang sends Kung Lao, Kenshi, and Johnny to Outworld to bring Shang Tsung to him. In their journey, they meet Baraka, a once-retired soldier turned merchant who is afflicted with a disease called Tarkat, who bears a grudge against Shang Tsung for using his bone marrow for experiments. They learn that Mileena is infected with Tarkat as well, and Shang Tsung is helping her treat the disease, only to look good so that he can hide his macabre experiments. Kenshi is blinded by an enraged Mileena, and finally they get captured, but then escape Outworld with the help of Baraka, Sizoth or Reptile, a Zaterran who was banished from his clan because he can shapeshift into a human, and Ashra, a demon from the Netherrealm seeking absolution to become human. Oh, and Johnny gives Sento to Kenshi for saving his life, and can see again due to the spirits of his ancestors that inhabit it. Yep, certainly can't forget that fact. That was meant to happen. After their harrowing journey in a stealth mission from the Lin Kuei ninjas where Sub-Zero betrays Scorpion and Smoke, Liu Kang goes to Outworld to warn Sindel of Shang Tsung's schemes along with Quan Chi, another sorcerer who calls upon the power of the Netherrealm, and Shao's betrayal. After revealing to her Shang Tsung's heinous experiments and his previous role as Keeper of Time, yeah, nobody knew about this until now, which is crazy, but okay. Sindel is convinced of Liu Kang's claims and sets out to put an end to their rebellion. The good guys then band together and storm the fortress where the bad guys are plotting, and plenty of combat ensues. Here's where the twist comes in. Turns out that the person who was manipulating Shang Tsung and Quan Chi was none other than Shang Tsung from Liu Kang's previous timeline.
What?
Yeah, turns out that Liu Kang's fight for the Hourglass against Kronika and Shang Tsung released so much energy that it ripped the fabric of reality, creating multiple timelines, or should I say, parallel universes. Wow. When Liu Kang created the new timeline, he must have inadvertently made the multiverse theory not a theory. Cool, I mean, let's just throw theoretical physics out the window then. After this reveal, Sindel dies by the hands of evil Sindel, Liu Kang regains his power of Keeper of Time, Shang Tsung tries to destroy Liu Kang's Hourglass, the Titan one, not the one from the new timeline, just in case. Liu Kang calls upon allies from the previous timeline who became Titans, Shang Tsung does the same, and lastly, Armageddon happens. You know what? I'm not gonna fight this logic. I'm just gonna roll with it. Liu Kang is victorious against Titan Shang Tsung. The heroes of Earthrealm have a nice feast at Madame Bo's, and the story ends. And that's the end.
Post-credit scene time!
In the aftermath of Armageddon, one of the Titans remained to survey the carnage. Disappointed that the battle was too short and promised to make it longer next time it happened. This Titan was Havoc, which his non-Titan version became a playable character. Okay, now the story ends there. That's it. Okay, here's the thing before I talk about the story. I often don't agree with changes made to my favorite things, especially if it messes with what is already established. I also don't like retcons done to my favorite things. I really hate retcons. It's not always, mind you. There are some changes that are done for the better, and I have learned to embrace these changes and enjoy what is new. Remasters sometimes change something in the gameplay that make it a more enjoyable experience. Remakes change or twist some things in the story of a game that they might as well throw everything else established out the window for it to make sense. And reboots, if done right, can bring a fresh new look to a game that has already been enjoyed by many for years. I believe that Mortal Kombat 1 does a reboot well character-wise, as the developers have done a lot for Mortal Kombat in bringing new elements to it, but you can only do so much with the same characters. I mean, Armageddon, multiverses, time travel, and alternate futures are interesting ideas, but the characters needed something new to them, something that reignites interests in them. And that's why I'm okay with the reworks done to all the characters in Mortal Kombat 1, as it gives the opportunity to the characters to grow and change in a different way than what was previously established. For those that are well versed in the Mortal Kombat lore can see those changes right away, but for those who are new to the game get to experience a fresh new look at Mortal Kombat and choose new favorite characters and talk about them. Mine's Raiden. He's still pretty cool as Immortal. Yeah, but let's move on. The fact that Scorpion and Sub-Zero are brothers rather than enemies, that Tarkatans are not mutants created by Shang Tsung, but rather people who contracted Tarkat disease, including Mileena, who originally was a Tarkatan created using Kitana's DNA, and the Titan Shang Tsung became a canon character rather than an alternate ending in Mortal Kombat 11, were awesome twists to the Mortal Kombat world as a whole that brought new perspectives for these new characters. Sadly though, not everyone gets this treatment. Some characters like Nitara, Ashra, and Kung Lao don't get a lot of changes in the new timeline and feel like they're the same from the previous games. Overall, the rebooted characters are a lot of fun to explore and learn about, but what about the rebooted story? It was definitely taken to a whole new direction which made it different. Let me begin with the namesake of this game, Mortal Kombat. It's no longer the Mortal Kombat tournament. True, there is still a tournament between Earthrealms and Outworld's champions, but it is no longer mortal. And this is backed up by the fact that Liu Kang, when giving Raiden the Amulet of Thunder and Lightning, says this:
"No tournament participant has ever been grievously injured or killed. I would never send my champions unwittingly into Mortal Kombat."
Honestly, the original story appealed to me more due to the high-stakes nature of the character's predicament, where they either had to win the Mortal Kombat tournament or forcefully and brutally be invaded by Outworld and Shao Kahn. In the new timeline, the reasons the tournament is being held are more political and traditional. Even if Raiden lost the tournament, it would have made no difference to what Outworld would have done in the wake of their victory, and the story would have had ended unceremoniously. And do you know who had to move the plot forward after the tournament? Shang Tsung. Despite me hating this man, his mannerisms, and the fact that I had to admit to this, Shang Tsung was the story of Mortal Kombat 1. Even his Titan version pushed the narrative forward, while everyone else just stared blankly into space and sat down with their thumbs up their ass! I mean, what I said is true, but, sorry for the outburst. But yeah, just like in the first Mortal Kombat game, Shang Tsung is the mastermind behind the conflict, and he does the job well. From taking advantage of people with words, promising a cure where there's none, performing atrocious experiments, to even taking lives indiscriminately, Shang Tsung is the villain that you love to hate. Whether it be the new Shang Tsung or even his Titan counterpart, this guy did everything to foil the good guys, succeed in it, and get away with his schemes. Even in the occasion when he made a temporary alliance with the heroes against Titan Shang Tsung, he was the one who came up with the idea of summoning allied Titans from parallel timelines. If not for him, the heroes of this story would have had no conflict for them to thwart. As for the rest of the characters, well, most of them get their own development through the main story, but others are relegated to having their spotlight in the classic tower endings each one gets. It is a classic Mortal Kombat trope, but at least some of that stuff should have been cooler if it was melded into the main story, like Kenshi's conflict with the Yakuza, Nitara's mission for Returnus, or even the issue with Syzoth's exile. I'm going to take a shot in the dark here and say that this was left open for future games or even DLC, which I'm alright with as long as it's extensive and gives more gameplay value. But that's the rebooted story, a change that made the world more tame and solely dependent on the villain. Kinda sad when I say it that way, geez. And those were the rebooted aspects of this game, but enough about that. Let's have a nice chat about what really matters here. The whole reason why I boot up this game almost every single day, the reason why people gather and play this game for hours on end, the reason why combo guide videos exist in social media, the combat! In my first impressions video, I went over the details of the gameplay, but let me refresh your memory. Combat has slowed down, but there's a rhythm to it. Aerial combos added much deserved verticality to combat, and the cameo characters are an amazing addition to the gameplay that also reference Mortal Kombat history. Though I did forget to mention in that video that Fatal Blows made a return from the previous game, where players can do a massive damage-dealing attack that can turn the tide of a fight, or bring much humiliation to a fight you had no chance of winning. Seriously, you should check out that video. I gush out about how excited I was for that game. I still am. Another thing that I mentioned is that I was stoked for the new fatalities and brutalities that the game was going to bring, and it did not disappoint. Although my dreams of seeing animalities making a return were crushed when the reality was far different. However, the developers did give me something cool though. Cameo fatalities and brutalities. Yes! The new addition of these fatalities and brutalities adds to the long list of the many ways you can finish off your opponents. Even most of the cameo fatalities are a callback to the classic fatalities from the previous Mortal Kombat games, and that's awesome. Wait, what's this? Are you serious? Even Mortal Kombat is doing this idiotic trend of selling stuff that should already be in the game? A fatality for $10! And it's the same for everyone! This is madness! Let's just move on. Other than that, there's not really much to the mechanics of the game. Sure, the gameplay is not exactly button-mashing levels of easy, there is a learning curve for the overall combat, and each character play and feel unique. But the controls are easy to learn and apply, and like anything, the more you practice, the better you get. Thankfully, the game does offer a few modes to sharpen those combat skills. Story mode, as we discussed, the towers, which is the equivalent of the classic arcade mode with an ending for each fighter, local play for couch competition, online play for online competition, and invasions, a new seasonal mode where players go through a board game-like setting and fight against the AI with a series of hazards that change up the gameplay, and earn seasonal currency to purchase customization items for each fighter. This mode is intended to change over a long period of time to keep the game active and fresh with new content every so often. Sad that there's no longer a mode where I can chill out and do something not combat related, and I'm not talking about the crypt, I'm talking about the mini games that previous games had like chess combat or puzzle combat. I know these were taken out since Mortal Kombat 9, but I do miss the idea of playing something different with the Mortal Kombat characters. Oh, and there's no crypt. Instead, there's a dragon shrine that gives you random unlockables if you give it gold coins, which are also in-game currency. Honestly, I have mixed feelings about this since the crypt was an okay time waster, but I'm okay with not having it either and having the unlockables be earned through the shrine or by completing challenges. And of course, let's talk about the music and sounds of this game. Honestly, there's not much to say about the music since it is appropriate but not necessarily memorable for me. It does its job providing excellent background music for when combat happens or even for this video. Yeah, that's what you're hearing right now. It even shifts each round of combat, which is nice, but it's not music I put on my playlist of favorite songs. The sound effects are great though. Every punch, kick, slash, throw, magic effect, everything sounds amazing and immersive. Although I had a few occasions in Invasion when the sound effects would go silent when there was a lot of stuff going on in the screen. I guess it suffered the equivalent of frame rate drops but for the audio. Too many sound effects happening at once. Lastly, the voice acting was really good. The actors did awesomely in portraying the characters' feelings and with unique personalities, making them believable. Except for one. The voice actress for Nitara really dropped the ball on this one. I mean, Nitara was a character that I was surprised and excited to see return to Mortal Kombat, but her voice is so boring and uninspiring that I felt indifferent towards her. It was bad enough that she got little attention, so they gave her the most wooden voice actress they could find to add insult to injury. She sucked! And that, everyone, is Mortal Kombat 1. I certainly had a lot of fun with it, although the story stuff is kind of there. But up until today, I'm still playing this game. Although, I haven't done any online yet due to reasons, but eventually in the long run, I'll dip my toes into it. It does ask me to do some challenges, so yeah. Also, I hope that you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. I am so happy doing these sorts of videos again ever since I did the format change. So, unlike my honest opinion videos, this one doesn't get a rating as it is. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I did make a video about it over a year ago explaining that, so you know you can check that out too. You know, I'm just talking, you know, just having a nice chat with everybody. You know, I was glad to be back and all that, so yeah. But if you have anything to say about this game or the video or anything else, just the comment section down below is the place to be for you to voice your opinion. Just let me know. Let's just have a nice conversation and let's keep it civil, okay? But in the meantime, stay safe, don't drink and drive, and have a good day. You know, I just realized, I've been playing games and I've been talking about them, but something feels amiss. I've been playing games and I've been going with the flow, like the games are expected. They're obvious to be either good or bad, and I follow along with everybody else. No, I tipped the scale. I must put it back to balance, but how? If I've been going with the flow, I must be going against it. Like a salmon when it swims upstream to... No, wait, not that. Not that. They die at the end, and that's what we're avoiding. That's not the point here. So if I talk about games where my opinion lines up with the flow, then maybe I should talk about those that go against it. Huh. Yes, that makes sense, but how do I start? Oh yeah, I have opinions.